Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. We just got a brand new rumor for the future of Call of Duty and Xbox, and it's certainly some shocking news if it's something that ends up coming to fruition. This all starts though with, of course, the major news that came out not too long ago with Xbox completely reshaping their lead figures at the company when Phil Spencer retired out of the blue as the head of Xbox, and Sarah Bond, who was the president of Xbox, also resigns right alongside Phil Spencer's retirement. It's a complete reshaping of the upper echelon of Xbox, and seemingly, according to this new rumor, this new inside information, we're already seeing the fallout of this personnel change take place, or we will be seeing the fallout and the results of this personnel change taking place in the not so distant future. So COD Warfare Forum ended up posting this, and I just want to preface again, this is simply a rumor as of right now. This is not 100% official by any means, but I feel like it's always important to cover the rumors, to cover the leaks, because even if they don't end up coming to fruition, it is sort of building and painting the bigger picture here long term, because this is something that's already been brought up by several other insiders, other people in the industry, just as like theories, and now we have another rumor sort of surfacing to further push this narrative in this conversation. So according to COD Warfare Forum, a new rumor, Call of Duty could be pulled from being a day one Game Pass release under Xbox's restructure plans due to the leadership change. Change is rumored to be happening due to the massive amounts of money that it has lost since the takeover of Activision. There will be other changes too, apparently. This is for now just a rumor, so take it how you want. Obviously, this was a big thing when Xbox and Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard King. Call of Duty was one of the main components of that acquisition. It, of course, is a massive moneymaker. Every single fall/winter, you can bank on Call of Duty making hundreds of millions of dollars, rinse and repeat every single fall. If it's a great game, it's going to make even more hundreds of millions of dollars. If it's a mediocre game or an underwhelming game, it's still going to make hundreds of millions of dollars just because it's called Call of Duty and it is that staple every single year. So Xbox acquiring COD was basically a way to print money every fall and sort of regain some of the money they spent acquiring Activision Blizzard King, $69 billion or whatever it was, right? But then, of course, a big thing with this was, okay, how could this change Game Pass? And at first it didn't really see much change, but then we eventually got to the point where Call of Duty became a day one Game Pass title. We saw a couple of Call of Duty titles go up on Game Pass. They still haven't fully done all of them, but we have seen now this become a thing where, like, Black Ops 7, for example, was a day one Game Pass option. And while it is getting players on Call of Duty in a way that might be easier than paying the full price for the game outright, it's not helping COD sales necessarily, and apparently it's just not doing that great overall. GameSpot ended up posting this article a while back, and we talked about this recently. Black Ops 7 had the worst sales for a Call of Duty title in the US in almost 2 decades. The worst selling Call of Duty game since 2008. The last 2 decades, there have only been a handful of years that COD wasn't the #1 best-selling video game in the US. Following Black Ops 6 in 2024, it wasn't going to be easy for any game, but according to the domestic sales charts, Black Ops 7 not only failed to repeat its predecessor's success, but it fell to number 5 in the US for 2025, which was not good for Call of Duty. World at War finished at number 7 in 2008, and that was the last time a COD was that low on the charts. So it being a day one Game Pass title certainly feeds into that. They literally answered this question here. Why did Black Ops 7 fall so far off from last year's mark? Putting the franchise game on Game Pass Ultimate almost certainly ate away at Black Ops 7 sales. Of course, Black Ops 6 was also on Game Pass, but Black Ops 6 had a whole lot more hype to it because it was, like, you know, a fresh thing at the time. And then, of course, we saw Black Ops 6 kind of crumble and be a disaster post-launch, and that obviously doesn't help, promote Black Ops 7 by any means. So a bit of a double whammy there for Black Ops 7, and now it's got Xbox basically completely rethinking, is this actually worth it? And even looking at the replies, you can see, like, for example, COD Warfare Forums expanding a little bit more on some of the replies. Makes sense. 80% of the Black Ops 6 sales came from PlayStation, which have no Game Pass access, of course. 300 million was lost in COD sales due to day one Game Pass release on both Xbox and PC. COD used to make 1.2 billion on releases like MW 2022, 2019, BO3, MW3 back in the day before Xbox and Microsoft came in to buy it and decided to take losses rather than just letting the company continue to generate its consistent revenue. Game Pass has damaged them, and COD Warfare Forum just says this, like, it just has not worked out. And now players who take advantage of Game Pass for Call of Duty might be missing out on this going forward. Maybe it helps COD sales going forward. It should, when you're not obviously getting it basically for free through Game Pass, but it also might end up hurting their player accounts at times because people aren't going to spend the $70, $80, $90, $100 required to get the full game instead of just accessing it through their Game Pass subscription. The timing of this, though, does still seem to be up in the air. Tim saying MW4 could be the worst selling COD and have a low player count, but COD Warfare Forum does say if it happens, it may not be with Modern Warfare 4. This could be something going further into the future, maybe with COD 2027 instead. Say, let's be real, there's a lot of COD games that still haven't made it to Game Pass, and this is completely separate from seeing, you know, Black Ops 3 or Black Ops 4 on Game Pass, or, you know, World at War, whatever it is, the old COD titles. This is simply about the day one Game Pass options, where you could buy Black Ops 7 through Game Pass basically for free again through your subscription and play it right away on day one. Or going forward with MW4, with COD 2027, whatever, getting those right away, that's where they miss out on those massive sales COD does. And in turn, because it is of course now an Xbox owned IP, that's money that Xbox loses. And Game Pass, they increased the price of right after COD went on, like as a day one game, and then that of course had people more turned off from Game Pass. So this is just whammy on whammy on whammy. A double whammy doesn't even do it justice at this point. But this certainly ends up being concerning news across the board. Not great news for COD for a multitude of reasons, but it's also kind of a double-edged sword. When the game's not on Game Pass, you might have more launch sales, and so your revenue in, you know, the fall and the winter might look better because more people are buying the game. But then also people aren't going to access it through Game Pass, and if they're not interested in the game, it's not like they're just going to try it on Game Pass. If they don't like it, it doesn't hurt them. They're not going to spend the $70 to $100 to buy the game and test it to see if they like it, like they might do on Game Pass instead. So your player base might look a little bit different, and the player count might be a little bit lower in that case. It's all dependent on the game, of course, because we've seen Xbox not on Game Pass day one with these older CODs, you know, 2022, 2019, etc. Those broke insane sales records just from people buying the game. But then you have situations like BO6, like BO7, where even when it's on Game Pass, the BO6 player count really plummeted. And then BO7 launch, obviously just not good at all, despite the game being pretty solid in my opinion. There's clearly a lack of hype and a lack of trust in the franchise at the moment, rightfully so, for a lot of people. So some pretty surprising news. Again, just a rumor, not something we might see right away with Modern Warfare 4. Could happen, but we're gonna have to see how this unfolds in the coming days, weeks, and months. Obviously, with this leadership change for Xbox still being so fresh, there could be a lot of things up in discussion right now. Should we do this? Should we do that? And things like this specific rumor here end up getting caught in the, you know, transition conversation. Could just be them theorizing, putting up ideas on a board and talking, would this be the right decision? Would that be the right decision? We'll see how things play out, but certainly some alarming news across the board if this is something that does end up coming to fruition. That said, that is going to wrap things up for this video, though. If you guys enjoyed it, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. It's a great way to help grow the channel, and if you're new here, you want to stay up to date with all things going on in Call of Duty, the good, the bad, everything in between, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.